on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, can you hear me, man?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yes.
Okay. All right, we're good. All right, hold on. Let me just adjust the settings.
Alright.
Okay. All right, we're good. Okay. I don't know if you saw the post in the Teemo talk thing, but that other Teemo guy didn't reply. But I don't know who he is. I've actually never heard of him. You're the only NA Teemo player I ever heard of. So that was pretty much it. But I know that there was people that linked me a ton of odd shots, but I think maybe you misinterpreted what I said. By the way, in the video where I said, like, he's bad, that's relative, like, you probably don't know me at all or anything. Or maybe you do, I don't know. When I say someone's bad, it's relative to the highest, like, the elite of the elite. And I compare it to Korean server, I don't compare it to NA. Or Ionia server is equally as hard, sort of. So that's all.
Yeah,
but
that's fine, man.
I do think that you're good at the neutral defensive game of Teemo, and I played with you in NA, but you probably didn't know it was me, because I was on an alt. When I was when I was with Gravity, I had you in like maybe 10 games or so. So I got to play with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that wasn't that bad. But as far as Teemo goes, Teemo, I was a one trick in season 4 before Master existed, and I was Diamond 1 with Teemo. And then I've played him on and off, you know, in the last 2 years when I do play. But there's the Korean Teemo and there's the Ionian Teemo that also go. One of them goes on hit AP, and then one of them goes a bunch of different stuff. Like, he has like 6 or 7 pages, and then he just does stuff according to the game. I don't play Teemo that much anymore because there's a lot of matchups that are just really ugly for him, and then the Korean server is really brutal. Top jungle dynamics, it's really gross. So the only times I'll pick him is now as like a counter. I won't ever proactively pick him because it's just so risky. So I think you proactively pick him, which is kind of nice because that's really ballsy, and that means that you have to go into a lot of rough matchups, which is fine. But the AP variant, because I didn't actually get to watch all the odd shots, but I know that you had a problem with the on hit Gunsu Wits End, etc. version of Teemo, because the middle person, who I guess talked to you, Slum or whatever, said that you think Teemo should be a scout assassin, and I think that variant of him was viable before Riot gutted him, and I think you and I agree that the changes to Teemo was a nerf. I don't know if you disagree with that. Okay, that was a huge nerf. Because it really cuts away from his split push potential, it cuts away from his Baron control, and the only time that the bouncing shrooms ever really come into play is if you're defending a Baron, or like you're trying to approach a Baron, like you can throw mushrooms.
That's about it.
That's literally it, and it's so disgusting. So you can't really make use of it. The problem with the AP variant is because the changes in Season 5 and the changes in Season 6, the reason I no longer like shrooms is because of the periodic damage and the masteries and stuff. And I take math on builds really serious. So when they gutted his AP ratios, I think in Season 4, or they gutted some of his ratios in Season 4, and then they hit them again in Season 5, a little bit. And then in Season 6, he got Season 5, he got the rework going into Season 6 on his shrooms. The AP variant, where you go like Leandri's, Void Staff, etc., it doesn't... I mean, in Korean server, anyway, right? And I played him in NA when I was playing... when I was inside of the Gravity House. And in my opinion, okay, now I know that you haven't played the on-hit Teemo style, or maybe you've toyed around with it or something. It's not good enough because it gives your opponents way too much control. In the sense that when you do get into range to do something, generally you're going to get 1 or 2 auto attacks off, and then you're going to get a blinding dart, and you have the mushrooms being used defensively. But then because of Riot's fucking really terrible change, you don't ever really have that many mushrooms, and now the changes to trinkets, where they're bigger and they last longer, the red ones, and they're up more frequently, and because of the changes to pink wards, etc., he's inadvertently hit from a lot of angles. And now because AD carries, like Maw of Mamortis, has armor penetration on it, and it's so viable as a build path, and now you have Starak's Gauge, and you have all these other items, the AP variant of Teemo is just so wonky, because it's like, if it gets to late game, if you play that style with Leandri's Void, and like off tank type stuff, whatever, you're literally playing on the premise that your opponents are gonna play bad. So on Korean server, which I don't know how much you follow competitive stuff or whatever, and I've offered this to anyone as well. The Korean server is ridiculously harder than NA, Europe, whatever. Like it's not an argument. There was 90 LCS, CS players. There's been numerous challengers, masters that have come out here personally, even for me to coach them in the last few months, and they've all basically said the same thing. Teemo, there's like one Teemo guy that can make him work in Korea, and he does the everything thing where he plays like Teemo specifically.
Is his name an Hangsim?
I don't know what his name is this season. Last season is when I knew about him, but I tried finding him on stream yesterday, and I couldn't find his exact ID. I don't know if he actually plays anymore. It's sort of like FaZe Killer, where apparently that Heimer Mord guy is not actually FaZe Killer, but FaZe Killer was known for Heimerdinger and Mord. And then there's an Ionian Teemo, but I don't know how to get a hold of the Ionia server OPGG, and he plays on hit.
I see.
So the on hit thing, and here I'm gonna share a screen with you. Wait.
Sure.
Give me one sec. I had the Book of Teemo thing. I don't know if you heard it in the video, but there was a math thing where I this is outdated. It's not updated as of patch 5.23 because I haven't had a reason to update it. So this used to be his pen, 65.5. And then on top of that, this build variant of Teemo was 12,420 gold, whereas the AP off-tank variants were 15,995 minimum. And now after the changes to AP items in 5.22 or 5.23, this is actually more expensive, and this is actually cheaper by a few hundred. So this is even actually better. So when you're doing this, when you deal 25 pen from Wit's End, because Wit's End actually has reduction, which is superior to pen, because reduction can actually bring the target below 0, which then you deal enhanced damage. So if you hit them with 5 Wit's End, and then you back up out of range, hypothetically, if it occurs, and then you go back in with Abyssal Scepter, then the Abyssal reapplies, and that's like really sick. So then you have that. So with this, you have 65.5 pen, right? So if you're hitting a target that doesn't yet have Maw, and this is also irrelevant to having Void Staff or Leandri's, and I think after the change to Leandri's where they upped its AP and they upped its HP, I do think it's a viable alternative to Abyssal Scepter in a lot of cases, but the tankiness from Wit's End and Abyssal Scepter enables Teemo to straight up duel like LeBlanc. There's been numerous, I streamed it like months ago, because I quit LoL from November to like February, basically, like playing the game. But I was Diamond 1 74 LP on Korea. And I would play Teemo occasionally on stream, and there would be instances where LeBlanc would try to dive onto me with 400 AP or something, and I have Wit's End, and she dies. Like in the trade, she tries to ethereal chains, and it's just disgusting because I'm true damaging her. And when you're true damaging AP carries, AD carries, because they can't itemize into Maw right away unless there's going to be another AP target on the team, which is again why I talk about I don't just play Teemo into every single matchup. It's ridiculous. And then if you have 2 core items, if you have the Gunsu, the whole thing about Gunsu as well, because I agree that Gunsu used to be bad, but then the change with Gunsu, and I know what you said about it, where you can't Gunsu actively inside of the laning phase or whatever, like you can't get 8 stacks of Gunsu and then poke the target. But Gunsu's power spike is it's stronger than Nashor's because it gives you way more AP, gives you way more AD, and it gives you faster attack speed. So if you shove them underneath the turret and you use defensive-based mushrooms and you have superior ward coverage with like either just a ward or a pink ward, and then you just start attacking the tower, I don't think there's any champion outside of Riven that can just go on you. If you have 8-stack Gunsu and you just keep chaining it off the tower, and then it lines up so that the minions arrive and you just maintain 8 stacks. You don't even need the full 8-stack, because I think it's really easy to get to 4 or 5 stacks before the enemy trades onto you, and then you can just trade with them. But I don't really care about trading or playing that variant of Teemo anymore. I agree that's how it used to be played, with the poke, the sustain, and the bleeding of the enemy. And then whatever. And the change to the Sork Pen Elixir, and the change with the dragon that just happened in the last patch, Teemo can kill a tower in about 6 seconds. if he has 2 core items. So if he has Gunsu, Wit's End, and in bot lane, if you're split pushing bot lane, you attack the golems, and then by the time you kill the golems, you have 8 stacks. You start attacking the minions, and then you get onto the tower, activate Sork Pen, it dies in 6 seconds. That's too fast. It's faster than every other champion in the game. It's faster than Yi, it's faster than Tryndamere, it's faster than Kayle. It's too quick. His endgame attack speed with Gunsu's is actually faster than this mathematics. He used to have 2.26 attack speed. With Gunsu's, he actually goes a little bit faster, which means that assuming that you're hitting a target of 65, 70 MR and you're true damaging them, you're just going to light them up because every single auto attack, because of the math inside of a Z, you're going to be hitting them with 600 true damage per auto attack or something, or like 500, which is just retarded. Not one person can come and kill you. They can't even send a Trundle to you. You'll kill the Trundle. You'll probably die too, but you will kill the Trundle, which I think is unique. Because then if you're using your mushrooms, even though they're only 5 minutes, that's too much power. Like, obviously, there's some champions that can still kill him. Victor can kill him with a Chaos Storm E, just because Teemo can't get in range. Xerath can kill him if he lands the stun. Orianna can't kill him. Riven, I guess, could still kill him, because she would probably itemize against him, because you would have gone up against it in top lane, but you're not going to pick Teemo into Riven. That's a disgusting matchup, if the Riven's good. Although, on NA, I don't think there's any really sick Rivens, but when you face Rivens in 7 ping and they can animation cancel perfectly and they all know what the fuck they're doing, it gets really scary because if you misstep, then you just die. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. The AP variant with Liandry's Void, I actually used to think that when I was on Gravity or whatever, that Teemo support could have been viable. In all seriousness, like as a counter pick to some lanes, and even if a lane swap ended up occurring. This was obviously before his mushroom changes. I think that just with Liandry's, the utility granted from his mushrooms, vision, and the damage, and everything out of that was nice. But I wouldn't have devoted that to a top lane slot, just because when you're playing it in the mid game or something, your auto attacks are unreliable if you itemize that way because Teemo can't auto attack enough. But with Runon's Hurricane and all these other items, he does. It's impossible not to get off autos. So you're gonna get off the autos, and then if you're hitting inside of a team fight with Runons and you're positioning properly, and you can't refute something by saying that it's difficult to pull off simply because the positioning for it is required, or the positioning is difficult to orchestrate, because then Jhin would be thrown out the window, Xerath would be thrown out the window. There's lots of champions that would be thrown out the window if positioning was difficult to come by. If inside of a team fight you're hitting them with Runon's Hurricane and they all are getting minus 45 MR because the AoE debuff from Abyssal and the Wit's End Steel, that's really sick. But if you're AP Teemo, you get off like 2 auto attacks in a queue. And if you do the mathematics behind everything, Teemo, in the time that it would take you to do the E animation into the Q animation, even if you can't, unless you're literally just doing EQ, if you do EEQ without the attack speed variant, the damage coming out of the Wit's End Gunsu's would be basically the same. But inside of a sustained fight, I had a side-by-side comparison. It's inside the folder, All Things Teemo or whatever. There's side-by-side comparisons of team fights where Teemo has AP with like Deathcap, Void Staff, Liandry's, Nashers, etc., versus Wit's End, Sork Pen, Runons, etc., and the enemy team dies significantly faster. We're talking like 12 to 16 seconds. And it's actual like fights. It's not like just standing still. In the standing still, this build obviously kills it faster. So it's whatever. I'm not saying that the AP variant doesn't have situational cases where it's good. It obviously does in specific situations. But I think as a standalone, the attack speed variant is a lot stronger. But I don't know anything about Jungle Teemo, by the way, so I don't even want to talk about Jungle Teemo, because I think that's just fucking... that's out there.
Yo, can you tell me about the resetting the whatchamacallit?
What?
The magic resistance again? Like, after you auto attack them with the Wit's End and with the Abyssal Scepter, and then you back out and you come back and what happens?
So,
Sorry.
alright, so if they're No. So okay, fine. So if they're at like, let's say they're at 60, MR, right?
Okay.
And you hit them all with fucking. So they come in. No. Oh no. Okay. I'm sorry. I spoke wrong. I didn't mean that the flat reduction comes into play instantly. What I meant is it changes the percentage. But maybe that doesn't matter anymore because the change to the masteries. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah,
percentage.
okay.
This would
Okay.
still actually matter though if you have void staff. I guess.
Yes.
So it would matter if you have void staff. It would not matter. So actually, yeah, I did misspeak. I was thinking about percentages, so I apologize for that.
No, thanks.
Um, but yeah,
I think that your build
yes.
is probably strong versus AP carries. But
Yep.
I think versus like Riven, like you said, or even against Fiora, or any kinds of AD damage dealers like Renekton,
hmm
I think Teemo will die in one shot.
Again, against Riven, I completely agree. Against Renekton Fiora, I don't think so. But then again, I'm also not thinking of just the laning phase. You know what I mean? Like, I
I
think there's a lot of ways to easily play a laning phase defensively with mushrooms and make it out, and then just go into the later stages.
But your build is mostly for split push though, right?
Yeah, for suicide split push.
But then while you're split pushing, probably Renekton, Fiora maybe
Also,
have teleport.
I run Ignite, and so does the Korea Ionia Teemos. They run Ignite. So if Fiora, Renekton are teleporting, if they show up, let's say that they show up at a tower at 15 minutes. Okay, and they have, I don't know, Maw or something, right?
Yeah, Maul probably.
Fiora will die to Teemo. Because the blind at that point is going to be too long of a duration, and with Sork Pen Elixir plus Wit's End, she's going to get true damaged almost. I'm
3
pretty
seconds
sure, well,
blind.
No, you would have 3 points in Q at that point.
So that's like
1.75?
2.2 seconds, I think, blind.
Isn't it 1.75? Doesn't it go up 0.25 per rank?
Oh. Wait, it starts from 1.5, right?
Oh no, it's 2 second. It's a 2 second blind. Okay, it starts
Okay.
from 1.5, so it's 2 second blind. But you're hitting her with that attack speed late game. She would have to land the riposte on the Q. But I mean, if that's the argument, you can easily just stand behind a mushroom, and then she can't actually come onto you. If she lunges at you and you have a mushroom, she'll hit the mushroom and then she'll riposte, and then you just hold Q. And then as soon as the riposte is done, she dies. She'll just die way too quick with this build. If you have Ignite. If you don't have Ignite, yeah, you have to play around it. But then if they don't have Teleport, the tower goes down in 6 seconds. So it's like... But maybe, I mean, my view on it is also a little bit different. And I don't mean any disrespect with this, by the way. But NA is weak when it comes to macro gameplay. That's known. So when it comes to the later stages, like trinket control and pink wards, etc., it just doesn't, like, you can't get mushrooms out with the changes. If they were 10-minute mushrooms, you used to be able to. You could get some of them to work. But even now, like, if you only get off one or two... And also, the level of players on Korea, they're going to rotate differently. If they hit one mushroom, they're not going to hit any more. So then, because of the tick damage on the mushrooms, it doesn't deal enough damage. Especially with all the changes to the 80 carries and stuff. Warlord's Bloodlust, the Maw, etc., the Sirox. It's just not viable, I don't think. So inside of a team fight, when you're playing against coordinated teams at higher MMR, and I know that you play against some pro gamers and stuff, I know that, absolutely. But I think if you're playing against 5 of them consistently, and they're taking the solo queue serious, which they don't there, that's been talked about numerous times on Reddit, etc., it becomes a lot more difficult to orchestrate a split push or a defensive style of Teemo. Although it is going to be the correct thing to do in some cases. I completely agree with that. But I think the suicide split push variant, where he'll take you down to the grave with him, but he'll get a tower, I think is better. I don't know how many games I've played of him in the last 6 months. Maybe I've played like 150 or 200. Obviously, that's probably nowhere near as much as you. Back in the day, I played probably over 1,000 or like 2,000 or something. But I do know that he will take someone with him to fucking hell, like, more often than not, with Sork Elixir. It's more awkward. and it's not as forgiving. I should also say that it's not as forgiving. It's much more prone to error because if you do split push and you get fucked up, yeah, it hurts your team really bad. So the mushroom teleport style, defensive style, I think is more forgiving, but I just don't think it works at all against more coordinated solo queue players. So that's my take on it.
I see.
It's sort of like AP Tryndamere. You can play AP Tryndamere, right, against low elo. Like, there's people that do it, right? They play AP Tryndamere, and then they hit, like, Diamond 2, Diamond 1, and it stops working. Their win rate just dies.
That is true.
And so that's my take on the AP variant of Teemo, is I think that it becomes harder and harder to execute. Because if you take your Teemo right now into gold, and you place mushrooms all around the map, they're gonna fucking hit them for days, dude. Like, it's gonna be impossible not to land, like, every single mushroom, or just have them walk into Baron and hit 4 mushrooms, etc. It's literally impossible. And then obviously the higher you go up, you still probably hit mushrooms, and they do deal damage, but they're going to hit the mushroom, they're going to trinket. And even if it's not as effective as on Korea or China when it comes to pink wards bot and red trinket sweeps and stuff and itemization against Teemo, whatever, it's still going to be rough. And I know that it's, rough. Otherwise, you would just keep dominating. My other thing, I guess, that I wrote to the Hika, I don't know how you say his name, but I don't even know who he is, was that there's another issue with the build variants when, and this is something that I say to all one-trick players, and I used to say it to myself, because, like, when you go into the matchup on Teemo, right, like, let's say that you're Teemo versus Tryndamere, or let's say you're Teemo versus Riven, you know so much more about that matchup than the Riven player does. So much. So every single lane you go into, even if it's a disadvantage for Teemo, you're probably near even against a lot of players. Just because your knowledge inside of the matchup is so much more than theirs is. So with that innate advantage, it should be enough to override and carry versus a large, or over a large percentage of games, right? So it should mean that over time, you should just have an innate edge and be able to play. Now, obviously, that's not all the case. That's not the case for every one-trick pony, but I think it is a factual thing. It would be ludicrous to assume.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's all. So I think that when you start to get stuck doing something that you're clearly good at, because you're not bad at playing Teemo. I played with you, and in the past 2 days I watched some of your games. You're not bad at Teemo at all, but there are times where you just get stuck. And in some of the games that we even played together last May or June, you got stuck inside of the game. And so I just feel like it's because of the build. I really just feel it's like the build's fault. But on the split push Teemo, yes, you can even get fucked on the split push Teemo. I'm not saying that it can't. Teemo's in a shitty spot. You and I both know that. He's in a very awkward situation, and it doesn't help that other champions just keep getting better, and changes and items come out that just hurt him, and then Riot nerfs him and claims it's a buff. That doesn't help either. I'm also sorry for my dog, but yeah.
I see. How do you think about the Gunblade and Nashor on Teemo with Leandrin voice staff?
Gunblade, alright, so my quarrel with Gunblade is that its wind-up is really big. Like, it's 3,400 gold. It has nice completion, like, because it's easy to buy the components to it, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that your attack speed is relatively slow. So if let's say they get a contain on you, or let's say you fall behind, your wake up is really weak. Because if you fall behind, your ability to push is really compromised. Your ability to aid in the mid game is really compromised. You need gold, but you can't farm it very fast. You can't even take wraiths very quick or anything, right? So if we compare it to the attack speed Teemo, there comes a point where, yes, you may be behind, all right, but you get Gunsus, and then you get Runons or Wit's End, and suddenly you shred towers, irrelevant. And obviously that variant can farm jungle creeps faster, it can farm creeps faster, just because the attack speed, he just shreds them, especially if he gets Runons. So the Gunblade Teemo, Nashors, the Nashors, I fell out of love with Nashors because you no longer need the CDR, I don't think. Because they changed his shrooms, right? The cooldown
That is
on
true.
them, right?
Yeah.
So I think now Nashors is just inherently weaker to Wit's End, because Wit's End is going to give you the on-hit of 40, and unless you exceed X amount of AP, the on-hit of Wit's End is always going to be greater than the on-hit of Nashor's. So then you're arguing about the 80 AP. But then again, with the 80 AP, if you're not hitting fast enough or enough, it's almost negligible, because it's not going to deal any damage when you factor into the MR resistance by the enemy when you hit them with the Q or something. And the AP is basically negligible on your Noxus trap because it ticks 4 times, which is completely different from just having a straight up AP ratio of 50, which would then 40 damage, whatever. So I think it's just completely worse than Wit's End, because the CDR is irrelevant, the on-hit is weaker than Wit's End, and Wit's End gives you tankiness as well, because it gives you the flat MR, and then you steal 25 MR, which is sick. And it gives you 25 pen. That's amazing. 25 pen is so sick on Teemo. And the attack speed, I think, is it faster, or is it...
10% faster.
It's 10% faster. Okay, so that's really big.
On a nature.
Oh, on Nashor. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's 10% slower. Wit's End. Okay, so 10%. So that would be basically like a dagger or something, or a little bit less than a dagger. So that's like 270 gold missing. But I think that what you gain is like 900 or something gold of MR. And I think the on-hit is going to be worth more gold than the CDR is worth. I don't know, I think Wit's End is just a much superior item to Nashor's now, because of the changes to his R. Because he doesn't need the CDR for move quick or Q.
Well, the thing is, if I just rush the Nashor without any items,
Yeah.
and I get about 80 AP from the Nashor, right? And I get about
That's
20 AP from just the Teemo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 100. And 15% on hit from the Nashor, so that's a 15. And then they also give you 15 flat AP on hit, so that's another 15. So 15 plus 15 is 30 on hit. So compared to Wit's End, yes, it is 10 less. But the thing is, the 80 AP that I get from the Nashor, I also have to take that count onto the Toxic Shot, the Teemo's E, right?
Okay. But what about the 25 pen?
25 pen...
That's gigantic.
It is. But I also do get the Leandrian Voice Staff, well, which I'm going to get it later, not the early. So early game, yes, I think the Wit's End does better. But as the time moves on, like, where...
But, okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so if the target is under 63, if they're 63 or under MR, Void Staff is inefficient. Because Void Staff will then pen worse than Abyssal Scepter.
That is true. Yep.
So then it factors into who you're hitting. I don't disagree that Void Staff is a good item, situationally. I mean, I say it inside of this thing. I mean, I shared screen with you. I say it in here that sometimes you do need to swap out for Abyssal Scepter. Or you get Void Staff over Abyssal. In some cases, Liandry is going to be better than both of them, depending on who you're hitting. But that's primarily because of the changes to Liandry's Torment that happened in 5.22 or 5.23. Gave it more AP and whatever. So that's, whatever. But yeah.
And also, I think the mushrooms,
Yeah.
like, with your build, I don't think
They
it will
do
do
nothing.
any damage.
Right. They don't deal anything. They're just utility.
I see.
They're basically, like, I just view them as a 5-minute ward and a novelty. Like, the slow, it grants vision. I don't really need it. Like, how much AP do you have at the very end of your build?
Man, I haven't seen it. It's about 450-ish. Yeah.
Is it 450? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Which itemization do we... Alright, so 80 AP from that. 80 AP. Okay, so that's 160. 240. Do you take the... What are your masteries? Wait, let me look.
Oh, it's... Hold on.
I'm just looking
12,
at
18.
Okay, 12, 18.
The Nerdy Creek.
Do you take the 80 AP per level?
Yes.
Okay, so you're at 258 right now AP with this, and then I'm just looking at the game where you have Gunblade, Nashor, Leandris. You're 258 AP.
Okay.
So 258 AP. I think my variant, because Gunsu gives you what? Gunsu gives you 40, but then it goes up to if it's active, right? It gives you X, and then whatever.
72.
72. Okay, so it gives you 72 AP. You run attack speed marks and stuff, right? I run AP stuff. So all right. So at the end of the day, I think the differential between our mushrooms is going to be like 150 AP, right?
Okay.
So your mushrooms will deal. 1 second.
Also, my mushrooms has penetrations, but I don't think yours does.
That's true. Well, wait. What do you mean, pen? I have Sork pen and sometimes I have Void and Leandries. I think it's unfair to say that I never have Void.
Oh, really?
And Leandries.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
man. I thought your build was Wits End and Abyssal.
No, the core is Gunsu into Wits End, and then it's situational. Runons, if you have a lot of utility to split. Abyssal, if you have a lot of utility for close combat, and you're able to deal true damage. Void, if they're stacking MR, like after the first 2 items, it becomes situational.
Oh wait, so you get a voice staff with Wits End and Abyssal?
Sometimes.
I
It depends who I'm against. After the first 2 items, I always build situationally. But the main 3 items are the Gunsu, Wits End, Runon. But Runon doesn't always come in as 3rd item. Sometimes it comes in as 4th.
I don't think it's effective to have a voice staff with either Wits End or Abyssal.
What about against like a 200 MR target?
It's because you know how calculation goes, right?
Yeah, of course. All the others take priority over their percentage.
Yes. Well,
But
no,
sometimes there's not going to be an Abyssal. It'll just be a Void. Do you know what I mean?
too. But the Wits End and Abyssal are a reduction, not the penetration.
Right.
So they take the calculation of Wits End and Abyssal first before the percent penetration.
Yes.
So it's not recommended to everyone. It's like if you go Abyssal or Wits End, either one, then the voice staff is not efficient.
It's not the most efficient, correct. I also have pen boots though. You run swiftness.
That is true.
I mean the difference in our builds depends on the target that we're hitting, right? Like if I'm facing like let's say like a Renekton who goes Maw with Merc Treads, and then I don't know what other MR item he would get, a Spectre Cowl or something, like goes into Banshees, right? And then you have a jungler that you're facing, like maybe like a Gragas who has Solari's Locket, Cinderhulk, or something. He begins to stack MR, and then he has whatever. Then the build will be Gunsu, Wits End, Leandry, or Void, depending on how are they stacking HP or what are they doing. Who do the other champions, whatever. I don't just blindly tunnel into one build, even if the core is those 3 attack speed items. The Runons I just think is sick because it adds like I think it adds like 2.7 seconds to a tower raise. Or it reduces 2.7 seconds in the later stages, which is really sick. But also the split pushing. He just autos the wave 3 times, and the wave's dead. So that's really nice.
That's true.
So it's really fast. And then if he has Sork Pen, he can actually, like, this is really unique. If he has 6 items, he can kill a tower with just 2 minions. So, like, even if you have a really dead wave or something, like you have 2 spellcaster minions, you can still take the tower if you have 6 items with Runons, which is really sick. So that's like Master Yi. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I've played your variant, and I've played mine. I'm just giving you my perspective from it.
Yeah,
I played it on Korea. I played both. I played support Teemo on NA. I even had a coaching session, like a joke session, where I coached support Teemo. And I was fully for actually running a support Teemo. Because I think Teemo could have been played support as an AP variant, because mushrooms were so good. The vision and the slows, and they were effective even without AP back then, because you just could have so many of them. And then if you had 40% CDR, it was insane to just have so many mushrooms out. But I do concede that I won't play him into every matchup, so kudos to you for that. But I just won't pick him unless the matchup is favorable and if the team comps are favorable. Just because it's so hard to make him work against players that move around the map and they buy shitloads of pink wards and red trinkets and whatever. But that's just different servers in terms of difficulty.
That is true. Yep.
So I think what you're doing, I don't think that it's impossible for you to get into like mid challenger and whatever. I know that you were just challenger, whatever. I don't think it's impossible on NA. I do think it would be impossible on Korea with that variant of Teemo because I think that the mushroom stuff just wouldn't work. I think you would have to either play the AD, because there's one of the Teemos that plays AD, like tank AD, like it's the weirdest thing in the world. He plays that, and he's like mid masters or he's high masters on Korea, and then there's the on hit Teemo. Obviously, there's AP Teemos that play, and they're higher MMR LO, but they don't build AP the way that you're building, or like I build. I don't even know how I don't know how they make it work. But it's really weird, because Teemo, I mean, I'm sure you know this, right? There's people that play Teemo, and then there's people that play Teemo. You get what I mean? Like, some people just play Teemo, and they play him like a champion, in the sense that they don't really make use of his kit, the way that it can be. Like, they don't bring it to a whole new level. They just play it as if... I don't know how to describe that. It's really weird. Just I've watched lots of Teemos, right? And there's a lot of them that where they just move bad in lane. They don't mushroom properly. They don't make use of his passive properly in lane. They don't split push accordingly. You know, I don't know. It's really weird. But it's frustrating to see. But for Teemo, I don't know how many. I'm gonna look up right now how many Teemos there are on high low. 1 second. Teemo. Alright, there is 3 masters, and then below them, everyone is mid and low diamond.
3 masters, wow. What the...
That's it. There's 3 master Teemos, and then everyone is low elo. So it's sort of probably like NA, I assume. There's like you and 2 others, right? And then everyone else is really bad at playing Teemo.
Oh, you mean in World? I thought in Korea.
In Korea. In Korea, there's 3 masters, and then everyone's low elo. In NA, there's you and 2 others, right? And then every other Teemo's low elo? Yeah.
I see.
This Teemo sort of does what you do. Leandri, Zizzarat, Banner. The hell? He does like Leandri, Deathcap, Banner. Yeah, I wanted to experiment with Zizzarat, because I saw that you did that, and I didn't know how it actually worked, so I'm really curious to experiment.
So what's happening with the Zeroth is that the Zeroth's minion, they hit the enemy minions, right?
Yeah.
And then I get the heal from the Gunblade.
Oh, okay. That works?
That's about it, yep.
That's really sick. Okay. And the movement speed must be nice as well because of his split push.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. Okay, I can see that. Yeah,
but then it's getting nerfed, so Zeroth's getting nerfed.
Yep. That sucks. What about this Teemo? This Teemo. Oh, this is like a... Okay, this is the Teemo that does according to game. Here, I'm gonna link you his OPGG. He does according to game, so he has all these weird-ass builds. And I always think it's interesting, because when players do stuff like this, obviously they have to have really tailored their craft when they do something unique every single game. But you can see he's fucking all over the place.
Oh, he's a Hangseam that I was talking about. Yeah, he's the best Teemo in Korea.
Yeah,
he's the number 1
guy that does
Teemo.
everything. Yep. He does something else every game. So sick. And then the Ionia Teemo, I don't know how to get a hold of him. Or I hit a hold of his OPGG. I don't know where the other Teemo's... the other Teemo guy was. His name was in English, though. It was something like dark, too. Like fucking evil. But, obviously as a joke about Teemo. But last season he was there. But now I guess he's not playing, because I don't even see him in the top 10.
Yeah, but...
Okay,
what I think is that this guy you just linked...
Yeah.
He's probably the only one that is pretty close to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think. That's it. In season 5, him and I were the only challengers as a Teemo. Well, he was in Korean and I was in NA. Maybe Koreans are a lot stronger, of course, but
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that. I think you're the best Teemo, probably, in North America. I don't know anyone else that... In NA... Hold on, let me just look at NA. I mean, I know that that's the case, right? Because you made a Reddit post about it. But who is there in NA? Is there anyone? Wait. Statistics.
oh man. But dude, I still don't think I can beat the Fiora Renekton or any other AD champions with Zen and Rage Blade. I don't know. I just cannot picture it.
I don't know,
I
man.
have tried it, but then when I tried it out, it was against Riven. So, and then you said the Riven does.
Riven's a nightmare. You don't think Riven's a nightmare?
No.
Maybe she's not a nightmare if you build the tanky control
Yeah, I
AP.
do need armor. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe she's not a nightmare then. But I don't know. Like I said, I concede the fact that I refuse to play him in some matchups. I can't find it. What the fuck? Alright, 1 sec. Anyway, is there any Teemo in Europe? Are you there? Hello? 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 Ah, okay. Just like 1 sec. Okay.
Alright, sorry about that. What did I
No,
miss?
it's okay. Is there any Teemos in Europe?
Teemos in Europe?
Yeah, is there like a European Teemo?
I don't know. What I care about is only Korean Teemo and myself. That's it.
What about Ionia?
Who's that?
The Ionian server. It's the China server.
Oh.
Basically, China has 20 servers. Ionia is considered the god server. It's where all pro gamers and semi-pros play. And usually...
Wait, better than Koreans?
Well, it's considered very close to Korea server.
Oh, I see.
Like, the players are a little bit worse, but the it's a different... It's really similar. I don't know how you would or how you could describe it. I mean, I could give you analogies like StarCraft, but like it's really fucking close. Like getting Challenger on Korea would be just like getting Challenger on Ionia, except maybe like barely getting Challenger on Korea would get you maybe like top 150 or 100 Ionia. Like, it's a little bit weaker, but not by much. But there's a Teemo main there. China has some really cute one-trick ponies. There's one for Fiora, there's one for Teemo. And there's one for Yorick, and they just dumpster people. Like, they stream. I don't know what the hell the Teemo stream is, but they stream, and they just shit on people.
I see. I would like to check it out sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know how to find it, but maybe someone in chat or one of your followers can figure out how to find the Chinese OPGGs. But yeah, there's a Chinese Teemo. So it'd be cool to look at him. Because last I saw him, last year, he was the on-hit variant as well. Which is actually where I first saw it. Yeah.
Oh, he does the Rage Blade Midsen?
He did before Rageblade came out. Because I switched to Rageblade once I felt Nashor's was bad. His build used to be Nashor's Wit's End.
Oh.
So he used to do Nashor's Wit's End Runons. Or Nashor's Wit's End Abyssal, yeah.
Oh, I see.
But then I swapped out Nashor's for Rageblade. But, yeah.
Yeah, but I do totally agree, though, about the mushrooms. Like, if I play on a Challenger, I do end up, like, 30% of the game, it's a pre-made 5, and then those pre-made 5 are pretty much like challengers for CLG team, TSM team, like that. And then they do buy 4 oracles, and there's no way that my mushroom can be procced. So yes, the Liandry does get in problem, which I was considering to change to Randuin's Omen these days, because the Randuin's Omen's the range is 500, and then Teemo's range is also 500. Whoever gets in my range, I can just Randuin and slow them down and just kite it backward. since my mushroom's not gonna proc, it's not gonna slow them. Probably
Right.
Randuin can do it. Yeah.
So then why would you play Teemo, though, if you're not dealing much damage?
I
know that you're playing him because you love him, right? But I'm
Yes.
looking at it from a competitive standpoint, and then it's
I
like,
know.
that's all. Maybe that's also a different. Like, I'm looking at it strictly from victory standpoint.
Yes.
So that's my quarrel with the AP variant, because I feel like
Yes,
the
I
AP
understand.
variant is like a super enhanced AP Tryndamere, like where it's fun, you can do it, you certainly can dumpster people with it, but I think there does come a point where it just doesn't work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all. But I think you're really fucking good at playing a very defensive, slow-based Teemo. I haven't watched this Korean guy, the one that I linked you. I haven't actually watched him. So I think you're the best one I've seen at that. I haven't seen you play the aggressive variant with the attack speed, so I can't say how you are at that. But I assume it would just take you some time to learn how to play it, because it's a completely different variant. Because it's
Yeah, well,
suicidal.
It is.
Yeah.
And I hate dying.
Yeah. You have nice KDAs. Usually Teemos have really bad KDAs. So yeah. Yeah, I know. But I think that's it. Is there anything
Yeah,
else you
that's
want to
it.
talk about? No?
Yep. I guess I'll just give a try on your build, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Rage Blade with and it sounds not bad, but Ruined Hurricane, I still cannot buy that.
why?
It's
If
It
you're
only
really
gives
if you're
attack
really
speed.
far ahead and they don't have a very good answer to your split push, then get Runons. Otherwise, I don't get it.
I
It's really
think I'd rather get
situational.
a Nashor's Tooth than Runin.
No, just try
Because-
Runons. Watch how fast you go.
Doesn't it make sense? So like you hit them over 8 times, so your Rage Blade will give you more AP. And that AP also will increase the AP of the Nashor's Tooth, right?
Right.
So your own hit gets to be a lot stronger.
Your on hit's gonna be stronger, but the thing is, when it comes time to team fight, the movement speed from Runon's Hurricane and the fact that you're gonna you get 15 on hit AD, by the way, from Runon's, and so do all your things, right? And your bolts deal 25% AD, which synergizes with Gunsu.
That's the thing too. Like, if I'm able to proc the bolts, that means someone is closing my range. Like, 2 or 3 people are closing my range about within 600 range, right? Or
Yes.
500.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure with this build, I'm gonna get CC'd and die.
Depends who you're hitting. But that's like what I was saying earlier on, is that the argument for position can't be used, because then there's some champions that would just equally die.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, ADCs, it makes sense because ADC gets to have a support who can kill for them,
Mm-hmm.
but Teemo doesn't.
What about
Teemo has to
Quinn?
kill for himself. Huh?
What about Quinn?
Quinn? Quinn has the E, and she can blind the people, and that blind is actually quite useful
That bind is
compared to-
disgusting, I know. Yeah, I agree. That blind is really gross. In the 1v1 scenario, like, I agree the Runons is a nitpick, because rarely it's only ever gonna be used in a team fight inside of Baron or in front of a inhibitor. Like a team fight inhibitor. The Runons, I think, just is a way for him to team fight. But the only times where I'll get it, like, as third item, like I was saying, instead of like a fifth or a fourth, is if they don't have an answer to split push. Like, a really bad comp for them or something.
That's
really
like
slow.
a praying for, yeah.
Right. But I already said I don't play him versus everything. I only
Exactly.
pick him specifically. So
Yep.
I used to, but not anymore. So, okay.
Mm.
Um,
Alright.
do you want any, like, because I don't know, I'll probably put this video on YouTube. If you have any social medias, I can just link them or whatever. if
I don't
you-
have any.
Okay.
Alright, man. Thanks.
All right, yeah, it was nice chatting. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, later. Bye.